What's up, my little enzymes? Welcome back to Dacia's Digest. The topic of today's video is going to be letting go of the past. As you can probably hear, I'm still a little bit under the weather. I'm well enough to do the videos. I just have stuffy nose, a sore throat. I've been hydrating and taking Dayquil and vitamin C, so I will be okay. But I still wanted to get the videos out for you. Just a reminder, we have our very own subreddit, and some of you have actually posted your stories in there or stories you want me to read, so thank you so much for that. I do check on there just to see if there's anything that we can cover on this channel. Also, I feel like I'm doing church announcements. I wanted to say OP from a recent story that we covered where he was a foster child and then the foster parents kicked him out unexpectedly. He made a update, but within that update, he did say that he did not want people sharing his story on like TikTok and YouTube and stuff like that. So I took the video down. The original saga video, you will not be able to see it. He did say in his update though that, he's no contact with the Peters, but his personal advisor was able to get him a unconditional acceptance into his preferred university. So it doesn't matter what grades he gets in, I guess, his final year of school, he will be going to college. So that's great. Also, sometimes I feel like when I film these videos, I read them as if they're all fake. I feel like I don't really believe most of the time that any of these are real, but I actually got an email from one of the OPs in one of the videos I posted, and it was just so kind of like surreal. I was like, oh yeah, you're like actually a real person. They gave me an update. I don't know if I can share it. I didn't ask. I'm sure she wasn't reaching out for that, so I won't say who it was, but it's just interesting. So I feel like with saying that, I also have to be careful about how harsh I am on some of these people, because like at the end of the day, they are actual real people who may see the video that I'm going to post. Anyway, sorry for the long intro today. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll get into these stories. I'm considering divorcing my wife because she can't get over her mom dying. Yeah, I know, everyone is fired up at the title and ready to tell me what an a-hole I am. To those people, I implore you to read the rest of this post before making a judgment. My 36 male, wife's 33 female mother passed away 5 years ago from lung cancer. It was not a peaceful or easy death. Rest in peace to her. That's sad. Our lives understandably went on pause after the diagnosis, and we both spent a lot of time off work helping care for her mother. My wife had a pretty typical showing of grief at the time, cycling through different stages, same with our 3 kids. After she passed, however, my wife got really bad. I totally understand this. I can't say I know exactly what she went through because I haven't had a parent die, but I understand how devastated she was. For months after she could barely function, I gently took over pretty much all the responsibilities in the household and with the kids. She had been attending grief counseling since the diagnosis and continued after the death. None of this is the problem. I endeavored to be as supportive as possible. She cried on my shoulder every night for months, and I just thought this was the worst of for better or worse. The problem is that after 5 years, she does not seem any better or more functional. She stopped grief counseling about 4 years ago and refused to go again, stating it would not help her and that nothing could. Man, I couldn't imagine like having a parent or someone who is like a really prominent figure in your life pass, and someone who's been there. So I lost my mom when I was I was a baby, and she passed away of cancer. But it's still sad for me, but at the same time, it's like I didn't have any memories. It's kind of sad in a different way, you know? I couldn't imagine like if I had a whole bunch of years and then like suddenly didn't. I feel for her. That being said, 5 years is a long time to be grieving and you're not getting any better. It kind of sounds like she's stuck. And then not being able to do grief counseling, like that's not healthy. About a month before any major holiday, she will have a major downturn. In bed half the day, crying all day, does not want to interact with the family, does not have the energy to do anything around the house. This will go on every single day until about a week after the holiday ends. Every holiday is intense grief, just as much now as it was 5 years ago. October, November, December, and January, her mom's birthday month, every year are particularly bad. I am essentially without my wife and am a single parent to my 3 kids. Altogether, she is completely incapacitated by grief for about 6 months out of the year and has been the past 5 years. Yeah, that's not healthy at all. And then the kids are essentially being neglected for 5 years. I mean, I get it. Like, I get it's tough. I get it. I get it. But that's a long time. When I say incapacitated, I mean incapacitated. When she is in the depths of her grief, she is completely incapable of intimacy with me or the kids. And to be clear, when I say intimacy in this context, I am not censoring the word sex. He literally put intimacy. There is no cuddling, spending time with us, going on family outings. I don't have intimacy, censoring the word sex, for half the year. I've stopped asking her if she wants to talk about it because she can't get any words out between sobs if she tries. What hurts the most is that the kids have stopped asking or being concerned. If they see their mom in bed when they get home, they just go about their day and might casually mention, "Oh, mom is sad today." If their siblings or I ask where she is, they don't really seek affection with her anymore because they rarely get anything more than tears. I've discussed this with therapists, my parents, friends, etc., and I know all the rebuttals people have for this, so let me preempt them. 1, she is unwilling to go back to therapy for grief counseling or to see a doctor for depression. Yes, I know she's severely depressed. I can't force her to go to the doctor. I've tried so much. Yes, it really is just as intense as it was 5 years ago. 3, no, I never tell her to get over it or blow her off. On my worst days, I just give space and leave her be. Most days, I try to offer her some comfort. If you want to judge me for leaving her alone, whatever, but know that I feel like I essentially have caretaker fatigue at this point. Yeah, 5 years is a long time to be trying to help her through this. I would be tired too. I mean, he can't stop his life to take care of her, especially when they have 3 kids together and he has to work and pay the bills and keep the house. We're like, it's not feasible for him to be doing that. And 4, no, she does not have a history of depression, but she does have ADHD. I don't know if that's relevant. I feel like my wife died when her mom died. I would do anything to get her back, even a small piece of her, but she doesn't seem willing or able to move on past her mom's death. I feel awful for considering a divorce, but I don't know what else to do. I mean, I get it. That's really a tough situation. It's been a long time. I wouldn't put a timeline on grief, and also I feel like grief is a ongoing thing. Like, you're never really done with it, but there are definitely stages, and I feel like she's stuck in a particular stage that's hindering her life. The only thing constant in life is change, and so if you're not like always progressing, that's going against the natural progression of life. When we go against the natural progression of life, that's when things become unhealthy. and she's in an unhealthy state right now. Relevant comments: you should tell her that things are coming to an end if she's not willing to at least try. Another user added this: I'm not normally a fan of ultimatums, but you may have to have a sit down on a not sad day. Another person says, my brother spiraled into a very dangerous alcoholic bender after our grandmother passed away. It lasted 2 to 3 years and ended with him in the hospital with early stage cirrhosis and the need to be on a ventilator to breathe for him at the age of 27. That is serious. Between that episode and him checking into rehab, I wrote him a long letter basically pleading him to stop and get help. One of the biggest points I felt I had to make, and I'm almost positive was the biggest thing to convince him to get help, was telling him what he was doing in no way honored her memory. That's a good point. What your wife is doing at this point is not at all honoring the memory of her mother. Has anyone said anything to her like this? That what she is doing is actually the opposite of honoring her memory when she should be living her life as she would if her mom was still alive and trying to make her proud. That's actually a good way to look at it. Another person says, funeral director here. This is very complicated and prolonged grief. She does need medical help at this point. I'd take the suggestion of calling EMS during her next breakdown. Her grief is making her a non-functioning person. Unfortunately, untimely demises are a part of life. It's a shame it happened to her mom, but she needs someone to help guide her out of the dark and find a way to not just cope, but become fully functioning again. Best of luck to you, OP. I hope your family can find its peace again. And another user added, yes, I replied today that this sounds like complicated grief, an actual condition. There is treatment for it. Okay, so he got some good comments. A couple days later, he added an update. So I posted a few days ago. You can check my profile for that post. I just kind of threw that post together as a stream of consciousness vent on my break at work. I didn't go back and look at it until later because I just assumed it would get buried since I've never had anything I posted get any major attention. And honestly, I thought I was going to get eviscerated in the comments for being insensitive or uncaring. I was floored by the number of responses and really kind DMs I got and felt a little overwhelmed at the idea of responding to them all, so I figured I would post an update here. A few people mentioned I should have her involuntarily admitted to a medical facility. I didn't mention it in the original post, but I did ask our family doctor about that maybe a year ago, and he told me that unless she is a threat to herself or others, it's unlikely to happen. I looked this up myself as well, and that appears to be true for the state we live in. That is definitely true. I had a family member going through a very tough mental health crisis once, and there was like nothing we could do. It was low-key traumatizing. Like just seeing your family member kind of like spiraling, and there's literally nothing you can do unless they threaten harm against themselves or others. That is the law. The law exists for a good reason, because you don't want like people who don't need to be in mental health facilities getting put in there against their own will. But yeah, and they continue, I do agree that she needs medical treatment. I suspect that during her year of grief counseling after her mom's death, that she was not honest with her counselor. I have a distinctly sad memory of her coming home after one of her long sessions and telling me that her counselor said she probably wouldn't need to go much longer. Then she went and laid down on the bed and cried. I haven't been able to convince her to go back to counseling. However, I'm glad I posted to Reddit because somehow I hadn't really considered that she might need more intensive treatment than just counseling. I also saw one comment that scared the heck out of me, that she may do something drastic if I give her a divorce ultimatum. With those things in mind, I don't think doing that is the way to go. Instead, I'm planning to write her a letter explaining to her how we need her back and that we love her and care for her deeply, but she needs more help than we can provide alone, and tell her that she needs to go to the doctor and be honest about what she's been going through. And then we have some relevant comments from there. Someone said, "Good luck. Grief is such a fickle mistress. I hope everyone heals and moves forward. I worry I too may be like this about my mom when she is gone." Yeah, it's so tough to think about like your loved ones passing before you. It's almost an inevitable thing. The only person, I just hope me and my sister go at the same time. I don't think I would be inconsolable. Imagine literally the first person I've ever known before I was even born. Yeah, we have to go at the same time. We ain't got no choice. But that's gonna be far in the future. Nobody's dying anytime soon. Someone else said, to be admitted to an inpatient mental health facility, you have to have one of these things: a danger to yourself or a significant decline in ability to take care of yourself or activities of daily living. It sounds to me as if these periods of her staying in bed would qualify her for the last one. I don't know what the ERs in your area are like, but you can often call in to like a first nurse or emergency room hotline and describe the situation. They can help you decide if she should be taken to the ER for admittance to the hospital. So that's not the thing. The thing is, how are you going to get her into the car and sign? Like, that second reason is a little bit more tricky to like enforce, because you can't force her to get into the car. You can't force her to check into an ER. You can't force her to wait in the ER room. So that may be like a stipulation that's in place, but it's just harder to enforce. Who's gonna make her go to the ER? The cops aren't gonna do it. The husband's not gonna do it. They also say spending half of your life drowning in grief is a miserable existence, but OP, your wife has to be willing to do the work to get better. If you decide that you don't want to live with someone who chooses not to work on self-care and instead is stuck in that grief, it is okay if you need a divorce. You are not an a-hole. It sounds like you have tried very hard. So he has an update, guys. And from what I can see, things have taken a bit of a turn. Update: I wasn't planning to post again, but I got a lot of supportive messages asking for an update, so here we go. My soon-to-be ex-wife has completely lost her freaking mind. After my last post, I spent a couple of days writing the letter to her. In it, I explained that the kids and I love her dearly and that we're concerned for her. I outlined all the worrying behavior and told her that I believe she needs to seek additional medical care. I explained that it sounded like she had complex grief, thank you to everyone who pointed that out, and that the grief therapy she went to years ago was insufficient to help her get through it. I did not say anything about potentially divorcing her, but did say that the kids can't continue to live in their current situation. It was a long letter and I don't really feel like transcribing it here. I read the letter to her the same night I finished writing it after the kids had gone to bed. After I finished reading, she just stared right through me. 1,000-yard stare for probably 15 minutes, then finally stood up and started walking to the door. I panicked and tried to stop her, asked her where she was going. Can we talk about this? I'm concerned for your safety. She rolled her eyes at me and said in the coldest voice I've ever heard her use, I hope when your parents die, someone doesn't tell you to get over it. After that, I didn't try to stop her. I just let her go. I was pissed off for maybe 5 minutes before the panic set in. I legitimately thought she was going to end herself. I checked my phone and she had turned her location off. I called and texted probably 50 times over the next hour, begging her to at least let me know she was okay and that she wasn't going to do something drastic. Right before I was about to call the police, I got a call from her phone. I answered immediately, and before I could get much of anything in, a man's voice told me, "She's fine, but she doesn't want to talk to you," and hung up. I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience at the time. I had no idea what the F was going on. I almost called the cops anyway, but I was disassociating hard and talked myself out of it. I kept calling her phone all night, but no one picked up again. After about 2 a.m., it started going straight to voicemail. I barely slept that night. When I woke up the next day, she wasn't home. I took the kids to school and daycare. I normally do this, and my wife is normally still asleep when I do, so thank God they didn't ask where mom was. I tried calling my wife's phone more all morning, but still voicemail. I called her office and asked if she was at work, and they told me she had called in sick. I called in sick to work as well, and basically just sat on my couch trying to get a hold of her while being a nervous wreck. I called my mom as well and asked if she could pick up the kids from school today and watch them overnight. I didn't tell her everything that was going on yet, just that something had come up that was urgent and I needed some help. My wife walked in the door sometime after 4 p.m. I tried to hug her and she shied away from me. I asked where she had been, no response, just a blank stare. Sis is losing it. She needs intervention immediately. Wow, that letter just put her over the edge. I asked her who had called me from her phone. No response, blank stare. At this point, I was frustrated and told her that if she didn't want to explain what was going on, she could get the F out. I regret saying it that way now, but holy crap was I frustrated. So she started talking, but it was like I was talking to a text-to-speech AI with her voice. No emotion, totally flat, almost annoyed. She told me that she had gone to her friend John's, fake name, house. I had no idea who the F John was and asked her to explain further. Wait a minute, so has she been cheating? What's going on here? After over a 2-hour or so conversation where I had to pry details out of her, I got most of the story. She was answering like a lawyer. Very basic answers, no details or context outside of exactly what I was asking her. Basically, John is a coworker. I've met the dude once or twice at office party type events, but never really talked to him. I never saw him hanging out with my wife or showing interest in her. But apparently, over the last year or so, she has been spilling all her feelings about her grief over her mom's death to him, and he's been comforting her. He had a parent pass from cancer too, so I guess she felt they had a connection she didn't have with me. After I read her the letter, she says she realized that I don't care about her or her mom's death and went to John's house to talk and be comforted. I flat out asked her if she was having an affair with him, and she told me no. I asked her why she never mentioned she was close friends with this unknown guy, and she told me it was none of my business. I asked her if anything had happened between them while she was there, and she says they cuddled and he held her while she cried. Oh gosh. I asked to see her phone to check messages between them, and she refused. I couldn't get much more detail out of her about the whole situation, so when she went to take a shower, I tried to check her phone. She had changed her passcode. I grabbed her iPad, which still has my thumbprint, and checked there. I left the house with the iPad to look for evidence while she was in the shower. I did not immediately see any messages to or from a John, but after digging briefly, I found it. She had put him in as Stacy in her contacts, but it was obviously him. See, when you start having to hide things, putting people in your phone under different contacts, you know you're not doing right. There were texts going back well over a year. A lot of her talking about her mom, a lot of him comforting her, a lot of him telling her I don't really care about her and that he would never treat her that way if they were married. All of her replies were in agreement. A lot of texts from her complaining about me, a lot of him trash talking me. Oh, goodness. The night she left, she had texted him, "F it, I'm on my way over if the offer is still there," followed by an immediate "yes" reply. John is thirsty. John over there starving, boy. Then the next morning, a text from her to him saying, "If he asks, we just talked." Oh, so yeah, they was cheating. I mean, she already was emotionally cheating, but they, consummated their affair, if you will. I threw up out my car door in a Walmart parking lot for 20 minutes. Man, poor guy. He'd been worried about his wife all this time, and then I came home and found her on the couch on her phone, seemingly unconcerned or unaware I had even left. I told her that I knew and that she needed to leave. Again, she just stared at me for a while, not responding, until I got aggravated and told her to get the F out of my house. She immediately got up, told me, "John was right about you," and left. I haven't seen her since. I told the kids she went to visit her parents. I don't know what to tell them, but I have to tell them something soon. I don't really even know what to do. Ostensibly, I need to divorce her, but going through custody, child support, etc. is dizzying. I feel paralyzed and haven't made a move yet. I know she's lost her mind and this is probably some kind of psychotic break, but I just can't care anymore. I put on a brave, numb face to go to work, then for my kids at night, and then cry after they go to bed until I fall asleep. I feel like my life is essentially over. I do feel like John took advantage of her vulnerability, but I don't even want to bother trying to get her to see that he's a predator. She chose this over her freaking family that has stuck with her. I don't think I'll be posting any more updates or logging into this account anymore. Wow, man. And yeah, I checked and he doesn't have any other, his account is actually suspended, so there's no additional posts. I wish him the best. I hope he's able to get the divorce. I mean, honestly, I probably would have got the divorce long. I have sympathy and I have been in his situation helping a partner through the loss of a parent, and it's tough, but 5 years and then you're not even able to function, your children are being neglected by you, that is, and then you're not even willing to get help. You just have made your grief your personality trait almost. And I know it's like a whole complex grief thing, but at some point, OP has to put his own mental health and also the well-being of his children as a priority, because they're the ones who are essentially, they have no mom. They haven't had a mom in 5 years, really. That's sad. I wish her the best. I hope she's able to get help, and I hope LP's able to get the divorce. Maybe they can have a future where they have a good co-parenting situation, but this is crazy. All right, next story. So, am I the a-hole to ask my husband to block his female friend who warned him not to marry me? I, 26 female, want my husband, 27 male, to immediately block one of his friends, Kyla, 27 female. He thinks I am overreacting and wants opinions from some cool-headed people on if I'm just acting crazy or this is something that would cross the line for you. I wouldn't say block. That does seem a bit dramatic. What exactly is that gonna do? And then I would also say, how does your husband treat the situation? What does he think of what she said? How is his interactions with her? Do you have a reason to be concerned about him being a friend with her on social media? Doesn't really seem, or I don't know if she's meaning blocking on social media or blocking on his phone, but I think it's a little unfair to ask someone to block a friend. I would say she's overreacting, but let me see what she got to say. My husband has a group of 8 friends he is close with since his college days. Kyla is one of his friends. When my husband and I started dating, he introduced me to all of them, and everyone was very friendly. I used to hang out with them frequently. I'm an introvert, and so is my husband. I would always ask him to spend time alone, as being in social settings just saps all my energy away. His friends, and especially Kyla, always made it a point to tell me how he hangs out with them less after he started dating me. Kyla also has a weird energy around me. If I was with my husband, she would be the most friendliest with me. Why is that bad? Oh, let me keep reading. However, as soon as he walked away, she acted like I did not exist. Okay. My husband hates to be touched by others. We are both neurodivergent, but Kyla would always tease him by trying to hug him, mess up his hair, etc. I never felt she was flirting with him, but just teasing him to make him annoyed. Overall, she just feels like a person who has a severe social boundary issue. We got married 2 years ago, and things have been great between us. Last week, we had our 2nd marriage anniversary and invited a bunch of people. His friends stayed back after all the guests left, and we were all drinking and chatting. One of his friends, Jen, became a bit tipsy and started complimenting me on how beautiful our house is, how I care for my husband, and how he has changed for the better since marriage. Everyone was laughing at my husband at how much of a slob he was when he was single. Jen then pointed at Kyla and said, "You better pay up, because you had a bet that their marriage would not even last for 2 years." That's my drunk voice. Everyone became silent and started changing the topic. I also did not want to spoil the mood and let it go, but it stuck in my head. After everyone left, I asked my husband what Jen was talking about. He also had noticed Jen saying that and was ready with a full explanation. He told me the story of what happened when we got engaged. When he proposed to me, he had not told his friends that he was going to do that. We went on a trip to Puerto Rico, and he surprised me there. We put our engagement pictures on Instagram while we were on the trip, and it was a big surprise to everyone as we were only dating for 1 year. When he came back and met all his friends, everyone congratulated him. However, Kyla started ranting about how he was a fool to propose so quickly, and she felt that I was not the right girl for him. It seems like she said some unkind things about me, implying I was a gold digger. My husband's family is wealthy, but so is mine. She had said that she bet we would break up within 2 years if we got married. That is why Jen was taunting her about how happy my husband was with me. Okay, this Kyla girl is starting to sound like an op. I was very furious at this point, as I feel this is something he should have told me. I asked him to tell me truthfully if he had ever dated Kyla or had any history with her, as he has always told me that he has never dated anyone from his friend group. He said that he has, of course, not dated or hooked up with Kyla. However, Kyla had asked him out a few times when they were in college, and he always politely declined. Yeah, I was getting the feeling that Kyla is jealous. She well, not so secretly, has a crush on him, and he's not interested in her. And when OP mentioned like the hugging and messing with his hair and all of that, to me that definitely sounded like flirting, not just messing with him because he's neurodivergent. She says, I asked why he said no to her, and he said he just does not have any romantic feelings for her. I can see that because my husband does have a type based on me or the other people he has dated in the past, and Kyla is the opposite of that. I am mad at her for saying bad things about me, especially after knowing that we were already engaged and betting against my marriage. I told my husband that he needs to minimize contact with Kyla, and she is not invited to parties at our house anymore. He feels I am being too harsh for something she said almost 3 years ago. He also pointed out that she has been very supportive to both of us and also helped a lot during our wedding arrangements. He feels she is just blunt and forthright when she speaks, but does not mean those things. He told me to take some time and calm down, and we would revisit this topic in a week. He is worried this will completely change the dynamics within his friend group. Am I the a-hole for wanting him to block her and stop inviting her to our house? Do you think I'm overreacting? I think betting against our marriage and bad-mouthing me behind my back seems like a huge betrayal. I am also mad at my husband that he kept this fact from me and also never told me that Kyla asked him out during college days. Am I just being crazy and reactive? How would you react in this situation? I don't want to distance my husband from his friends, but I also do not want to see that be Kyla's face again. So there is an update. I think she's overreacting a little bit, to be honest. I thought maybe I was going to read something that was going to change my mind. But in my opinion, I'm more concerned about what is the husband doing? How does the husband treat the relationship with Kyla? What are his boundaries when it comes to her? When she says certain things about OP, what is his response? I'm not really too much worried about Kyla. Like, blocking her really doesn't really mean much. And so I wouldn't force him to lose a friend who he's had since college days just because she made a disparaging comment. I mean, I'm pretty sure all of our friends have probably made a less than savory comment about our significant other at one point in time. And it was also 3 years ago. And from what she said, there hasn't been any red flags or anything within that 3 years. So I think she should just let it go. This is I don't think it's that important enough to really make such a big deal out of it. Maybe she can have a conversation with Kyla. They can come to some sort of an agreement and get on the same page. Otherwise, the whole dynamic of the friend group and everything is just gonna be completely different. So maybe if she calms down, things can be better, but let's see. So the original post was 6 months ago, and then she has an update, a 6-month update. Oh goodness, I hope I'm not wrong. Update, am I the a-hole to ask my husband to block his female friend who warned him not to marry me? I had a post almost 6 months ago regarding my husband's friend Kyla betting that our marriage would not last for more than 2 years. I was upset and had asked my husband to stop talking to her because she disrespected our marriage. Since then, Kyla has pulled some really pathetic stuff to stir up issues between my husband and I. Okay, well, I might have to go back on everything I've said. After I wrote the post, my husband was trying to convince me that Kyla was just joking when she made those comments, and it happened so long ago. Kyla messaged me the next day apologizing for her comments and also not making more efforts to connect with me. I accepted her apology and started warming up to her. She started inviting me for brunches and girls' nights out with them, and I felt included in their friend group. Okay, that's exactly what I wanted to happen, and I wish the update stopped there. I was hoping OP and Kyla could get together, they could get on the same page, they can talk. Okay. One day during brunch, I brought up why Kyla really thought our marriage would not work out. Kyla told me that my husband broke up with his long-term ex-girlfriend, Joanna, 2 months before he started dating me. I knew that part, but Kyla told me that my husband was really heartbroken after the breakup and swore to her that he would stay away from dating anyone. When he met me, my mom set us up on a blind date. She was surprised how quickly we hit it off. Okay, so it sounds like jealousy again. Kyla thought that I was his rebound relationship, but when he proposed to me within a year, she was worried that he was making a very rash decision. My husband's family is rich, and she thought it was unwise for him to marry so quickly without knowing me well. She did not know enough about me and that my family is also very well off. That is why she was concerned that I was taking advantage of his vulnerable state. She apologized to me and said it was wrong for her to assume that, and over the years, she has seen how happy we are together. I appreciated her honesty, and Kyla and I became good friends since then and started hanging out more frequently. But why don't I trust this? I just know it's not gonna be good. I feel like she's playing the long game. It's like keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. Around 2 months ago, my husband went for a conference to Seattle for 3 nights. After he came back, I got a "Hey girly" message on Instagram from Joanna, his ex. Oh God. Okay. She told me that my husband contacted her a few months ago and they met in Seattle during the conference, and she could give me more proof if I wanted. I went through my husband's Instagram, but he seems to have blocked her. I made a mistake of mentioning it to Kyla as she was the only person honest with me about Joanna, and she went into detective mode to help me. Oh God. This is why I don't trust people. I don't trust people, and I'll be friendly and I feel like I can hang out with people, but you are only staying on one layer. We are not going deeper. If I know that you have made comments in the past, you've had a crush on my husband in the past, really you wanted to be me at one point. I'm not like to go so far as to be like, oh, we're good friends, we hang out all the time. OP really was taking a risk because homegirl was an op. She always been an op, will always be an op. Let's continue. She was still friends with Joanna on Instagram as they all went to college together and opened her profile. The message sent to me was from a different profile with no followers. We checked her photos and we saw that she attended the same conference as my husband in Seattle. Kyla suggested I should ask Joanna for more proof and also ask my husband about the same before assuming the worst. I asked my husband if he met Joanna, and he said yes. He told me he just met her in the expo hall and chatted with her for a few minutes. I asked him why he did not mention it to me, and he told me it was just a quick conversation and he did not think too much of it. He asked me how I knew it, and I told him that Kyla mentioned that she saw her pictures at the conference and I thought he might have seen her. I messaged Joanna again to share more proof. She told me that they have been chatting for the past 2 months and planned to attend the conference together. She shared a log of their messages where my husband was actively flirting with her. The screenshots did look legit, but I did not see any of those messages in my husband's Instagram profile. I talked with Kyla about it as I did not know what to believe. I messaged Joanna to tell us what happened between them, and she told me that he invited her to the room at nights and they hooked up, but she does not have any photos as he insisted they do not take any pictures together. I immediately realized it was fake and messaged Joanna to F off. She kept on insisting they were telling the truth, and she spent the nights with my husband in his room on all 3 nights. I told her that my husband and I were playing video games, Sea of Thieves, for almost 2 hours each night after his dinner, as that is what we do to catch up when he is away. Unless Joanna was sitting behind him watching us play until he fell asleep, she was full of crap. Okay, OP. I also told my husband about the whole incident, and he told me I should have come to him sooner. He told me that he has gone no contact with Joanna ever since they broke up, and he just ran into her at the conference. So what, the op bestie just so happened to see Joanna's profile and she was at the same conference, so she created a fake Instagram profile to try and break up their marriage? And this is why you will never be picked. You're doing all this. You could have spent that energy trying to get your own man. He told me I could check his phone and everything to verify that he has blocked her everywhere. I told him I do not need to, and Joanna might have run into him and just decided to mess his life up by making things up. When all the friends met that weekend, my husband and I told everyone about how Joanna sent messages to me and faked everything. Kyla was also telling what happened, but she accidentally let it slip out that it's lucky we're nerds and played video games at nights before sleeping, or else props go to Joanna for making up a convincing story. I never told Kyla about the video game stuff. I just told her Joanna is full of crap and I blocked her. It took me until I came home to connect the dots. I told my husband about it and he confronted Kyla. She denied it and told him that I told her about the video game stuff on a phone call, but I don't remember doing it. We have since decided to keep our distance from Kyla. Kyla has called me multiple times to meet up, but I just make up reasons that I'm busy. I do not know why she did it. Girl, really. But at this point, I am not interested in it, and we have decided to just see her on social occasions and avoid hanging out with her as much as possible. I feel stupid that she played me for a fool, and I should not have gone to her when Joanna started messaging me. In hindsight, it seems suspicious that Kyla started telling me about Joanna, and at the same time, Joanna claimed to have an affair with my husband. I do not know what her intentions are. Girl, what you mean? Stop acting clueless. You don't know what her intentions are? She wanna be you so bad. Well, judging by your actions in this case, you might be that clueless. I do not know what her intentions are, but I am mad enough that I will avoid her as much as possible. I wish I had some real proof that she was the one messaging me so that I could expose her. I also feel bad for suspecting my husband, but I'm glad my husband and I are on the same page now. Yeah. First comment, oh yeah, Kyla definitely still wants to F the hubby. Right. Somebody said she was projecting when she called OP a gold digger. Someone else said, or she's close to Joanna from school and tried to help her sabotage her ex's relationship, probably trying to get back together. No, what I think is she follows Joanna still, and she just so happened to see that Joanna was at the same conference that the husband was at. He probably mentioned he was going or posted that he was going, and she basically took that opportunity to be like, ooh, I could make a fake account and then try to make it seem, that's what I think happened. But luckily, they have a good relationship, and she basically was on FaceTime with him playing video games all night, so she knows that he didn't do anything. But that's crazy. In that first part of the story, I had no problem with her just still being in the friend group, but I feel like OP took it too far. Going to brunches with her, having her become basically like her bestie, confiding in her and all this stuff. Girl, you're doing too much. Like, having a good relationship with the husband's friend, that's good enough. But you ain't gotta be, gallivanting all across town just for the sake of the relationship. I don't think that was necessary. All right, we have another main read. I'm gonna make this video a little bit longer than some of my recent uploads, just because I've been uploading a little bit late. I feel a little bit bad. So just a little extra treat. So this video is gonna be long. This one is, am I the a-hole for leaving my fiance after he asked me if he could sleep with a woman one last time? This might be long, I don't know. I'm feeling a lot. So me, 31 male, gay, and my fiance, 32 male, bi, have been together for 9 years, engaged for 1. We're meant to get married in 2 months. My time with him has been perfect, literally 0 complaints. Honestly, I didn't think I'd find someone who got me the way he does. Then the world remembered it hates me and decided to F my stuff up since I had it too good for too long. Last week, my fiance sat me down and told me he wanted to discuss something with me and to keep an open mind. Sure, he said, since we're getting married, he wanted to know if I would be okay with him having a one-night stand where he could sleep with a woman. My heart broke instantly. My dreams and hopes and plans vanished in an instant, and the marriage I was eager to begin was dead. What would y'all do if somebody asked you that? Can I sleep with them one last time? I mean, it's very healthy of him to come to him and ask, be clear. At the very beginning of our relationship, when he asked to be exclusive, I told him there will never be anyone else in our life, just us. No one's coming into our bedroom. There will be no fantasies, no nothing. I made it clear if he ever asked for anything of the sort in the relationship, it would be over immediately. There will be no conversation about it. It's done. He agreed. He said monogamy was the only thing for him and he doesn't want anyone else. Before I keep going, I do want to explain why I am the way I am. I won't give a lot of details, actually almost none, but I'll give enough to understand, hopefully. Between the ages of 8 and 14, I had a very traumatic experience involving my only friend at the time. When I was 8, he was 15, the only other kid on the street. My mother was involved with illicit substances and cheated on my father constantly, so she didn't notice anything. My dad was never home because wife was awful to be around, and he had a kid who stayed in his room alone all the time, so he wouldn't have seen anything to be concerned about. Anyway, I tried to tell my mother once, but I couldn't even say it before I was yelled at and told to get out of her room and never tried to bring it up again. Wow. Whew. Fast forward to me being a not stupid child, I put pieces together and found out why my dad was never there to help me, why my mom didn't care enough to question, why a teen was taking me outside for hours, and when I got home, I just wanted to be alone in my room. I put all of my childhood issues on cheating. As a result of my fun little quirky younger years, I am borderline. I have anxiety and panic attacks whenever I hear people screaming, and depression, blah, blah, blah. I have problems. That's sad, OP. I just want to give you a hug. I think a lot of times we take our situations and the way we grew up for granted, but there are really people out there who really had it tough, like real life, real world, just traumatic, very like will never ever be the same again. So we really have to be grateful for our blessings. Oh man. After being with my fiance for about a year and a half, I talked to him about my past and why I feel the way I do about things, and he was very understanding, very comforting. Despite it being my story, I had to wipe his tears away a few times. I know he cares for me, I know he loves me, and wants to spend our forever together. Back to present day. I am in a hotel room alone. Everyone I've told this to has said I'm crazy and stupid and need therapy. They don't understand how I can throw it all away over my partner being honest and open with me about something. He didn't actually cheat, he just wants to, LOL. He has said he won't do it. He needs me more than any feeling a woman can give him. I am his everything. He's called me twice since I started typing this and messaged me really sweet things. So I'm at a point where I don't know what I'm doing. I look at the future and I see him. My entire adult life, I've had the mentality of if they want to cheat, they will. So he's asking me now, and if I say no, he will eventually do it anyway, but won't tell me next time. That is where my decision to leave comes from. He will grow to resent me for denying him this thing he wants. I don't want to be that person 30 years from now, finding out my husband has had 50 affairs during our marriage with a bunch of women. I don't think so. I think it was healthy for him to come to you and ask, and I don't think him saying no just automatically means he's gonna do it anyway and have resentment. I think there can be a situation where you just kind of have an idea, you just want to see, like, I wonder if my partner would let me do this. Oh, no, they won't? Oh, okay. Well, that was an idea. Like, it doesn't have to be this whole thing where he's gonna be sitting alone in the room in the dark like, I need a woman, So I say give him a chance, man. At least he was being open and honest, now it's almost like he's being punished for being honest because he didn't even actually do anything. I don't know. Maybe some of you might disagree. He said, when I am with someone, I'm with them. I don't look at other people. I don't entertain advances anyone makes towards me. I don't flirt with anyone else. I'm devoted in every way. People are making me feel crazy for wanting the same energy given back to me. I can't wrap my head around him wanting to kiss someone else, to be an inch away from them and smile and then be intimate. I don't want to think about it, but it's all I'm thinking about. It's been almost 8 days since I left, and it's my only thought. I am losing my mind in a crappy hotel room thinking about the guy I love messing with some random woman who doesn't exist. I'm lost. I don't know what to do. I do want to say how amazing he is. He buys me flowers every Friday. He stands up for me when no one else does. He looks for me in every room. He makes me feel like I matter. He makes my grayest days bright and clear, and the smile I used to fake isn't fake anymore. He has never judged me for the things I do. He's never made me feel bad for having off days. He just makes me feel loved. My birthday was last month, and he made me a book filled with pictures of us he's taken over the years, with the last page being blank so he can add our wedding picture eventually. That is so, man, OP, go get your man back. OP, he made a mistake. It was just a fleeting thought, and he thought he was doing the right thing. OP, go get your man. I promise you, you are not gonna find that again. Above each picture was what he was thinking when he took it, and below is how he was feeling at the time. Part of being me is I need constant reassurance that he does love me, so I ask him those things a lot. It means everything to me, and it's my favorite thing I own. I'm just trying to say he really is great despite this one thing. He said he'll do anything for me to come back. We can push the wedding back and just work on us, or we can call it off completely and just be together. He will never bring it up again, and he's deeply sorry he ever wanted to do it, and I believe him. Time changes people though. I just want an unbiased opinion from someone whose life will not change whatsoever by my decision. They tend to be more truthful. I love him, and when I look at pictures of him, I hear wedding bells, and I see the house he wants to buy with me and the 2 kids he wants to adopt at some point. I don't want the rehashed, when trust is gone, it doesn't come back, or you know the answer, leave. I do trust him. I don't trust the things I'm telling myself over and over about what may happen in the future, and he has never given me reason to not trust him, but I don't know. Tell me the truth. Do I, 1, stay the course, 2, go back to him and give him permission to mess with random women and come home to me after with the fake smile on and live with him forever, 3, go back to him, tell him no, he can't cheat, and hope for the best. Sorry if I rambled. I'm all over the place mentally. I have deleted a good 7 paragraphs, so this was worse. I really did try to make this readable. If any more info is needed, just ask. Listen, OP, you are borrowing worries from tomorrow. You are creating situations that have not even happened, don't exist, probably won't exist. And I say, what has been true and what is true? Focus on that. Right now, you're focusing on your feelings, and the feelings aren't facts. I low-key ate with that. But for real, you have all this evidence of him being a great guy. You trust him, you love him, y'all been together years, you want to get married. He hasn't done anything crazy. Even within this instance, he shows that he's a great communicator. He's not going to hide stuff. He's going to come to you if he's feeling a certain way, or if he feels like he wants to do something or try something. You have evidence. You have facts. So the things that you're thinking in your head, none of that is based on the actual truth. It's only based on your fears and your insecurities. And yes, people change, but that's true for any situation. If that's the case, you shouldn't get married at all or even be in a relationship at all, because everybody changes at some point. You can't let that stop you from having healthy and meaningful relationships. The fact that people change, for one, is just proof that we're still alive, and it's also the risk that we take when we enter into relationships. That's just the beauty of life, the beauty of love. Anyway, let me see the comments. Someone says, at the very least, do not get married right now. Do some soul searching and think about what you want, not what everyone else wants you to do, including us on Reddit. Someone else says, are you sure it's a random woman? To ask now, could it be that he's got someone in mind? I'm bi, been with my other half for over 20 years. Just because I'm attracted to both males and females doesn't make me want to step away from my relationship for a night to be with someone else. For what? Because being with a female feels different to being with a man? Nope. In a committed relationship, that is not a pass. Are they going to want to do that again in 10 years' time? Or maybe sleep with another man one last time? In any monogamous relationship, what he has asked is unacceptable and disrespectful. I don't know. I guess I have a different take on it because I respect the fact that he even asked in the first place. And I feel like if you want to have a healthy relationship, it's important to feel like you can come to your partner with these types of questions. Otherwise, that leads to sneakiness, or you just don't say anything and you let it fester, or I don't know. Let me know, chat. Let me know what y'all think. And we'll go to the update. I hope it's not a bad one. Okay. This was 3 days later. He said, okay, I don't know if anyone actually cares about the outcome, but my original plan was to talk to him today. Bring up therapy, maybe go back to our apartment, or just stay for the rest of my hotel reservation. That did not happen. I folded. I got drunk Sunday night. He called me about 10:30 and I told him where I was because he said he wanted to explain in person. Sober me would have said no, say that crap over the phone. Drunk me is a garden tool. He came over and started explaining. His best friend, who's always had issues with me, has been trying to convince him for months if he doesn't sleep with a woman again, he will end up cheating on me in the future. He didn't believe at first, but after a few months, his friend wore him down. I know he's not lying. He showed me texts going back to February, every so often his friend bringing it up. His friend has always not liked me. I don't think he's okay with my fiance being bi. The first time he introduced me to his friends, his best friend was very standoffish, didn't interact with me. At one point, someone asked if I was into hiking. I am, and she said best friend's name is also really into it. I said, that's cool. Do you know any good spots since I just moved here and haven't found any yet? He said no and started talking to someone else. Okay, sure, a-hole. A bunch of other little crap over the years, like always bringing up his ex-girlfriends in front of me, blah blah, you get the gist. I think he knew I'd leave if my fiance asked me for this. My fiance said he doesn't want to do it and he wanted me to say no and we'd move on. The wedding's still on hold. I have the ring back. It's on a chain around my neck. I want therapy still with him. Too many of you convinced me in private DMs with your personal stories about how helpful it was in your relationships. You wore me down. I also want to know what a paid professional thinks about his best friend because honestly, I'm done with him. I don't want him at my wedding. I don't want to see his face. I don't want him to be my fiance's best man. Okay, so far this is seeming like an okay update. Like it's seeming like they can come back from this. But I do think he's gonna have to put some distance. The OP's fiance is gonna have to put some distance between that best friend. Cause just like the last story, the best friend is an op. and it sounds like the best friend probably is a little bit homophobic or something and is trying to kind of convince OP's fiance to turn back to women or whatever. I'm rooting for this couple. I really think they can come back from it. It sounds like such a good couple, and I just, please, OP, don't give up on your man. Like, he didn't mean it. It was his friend. He was trying to manipulate him. Like, he didn't even want to do that. Sorry to disappoint. I know a lot of you were calling for his head. I was the same mindset for most of my life until I was put into the shoes I am now. It's hard. Trying to throw that love out the window and leave is hard. It was also a misunderstanding, so I overreacted anyway. I do want to thank you all. I expected my post would be like many others, get a few replies, and that's it. I got a lot more than that, and most were helpful. Some were jokes, some were just trying to convert me to be straight, and some were trying to gaslight me. Thank you for the actual advice, and I'm sorry so many people related to my struggles. I expected a few, but I got at least 100 DMs talking about their trauma and how it's affected them in their adult lives and how they think I should move forward. Bittersweet, but I'm glad I wasn't alone in my struggles. 100 DMs? I would be so overwhelmed. And then he says, for the questions, are you in therapy? Yes, I'm in individual therapy and have been for years. I'm also on meds, mood stabilizers, benzos, and antidepressants. Therapy only goes so far. I know the post made me sound kinda psychotic, but I also left all my meds at the apartment, so I was on day 8 of clean living and I skipped my last therapy appointment. I never claimed to make good decisions. Is there another woman? No. Why would you get with a bi man when this is pretty common? This is not pretty common in my opinion, and you're biphobic. I don't have any issues with his sexual orientation. If anything, I like he's not completely gay. No, I will not elaborate on why. Why didn't you just talk to him? Because if he said there was a woman he was looking at, I would have found the nearest bridge and YOLO'd off of it. What kind of friends would say that crap to you? They're his friends, really. When I moved here in my early 20s, I met him quickly. Less than a year when I got here, we went on a date. He introduced me to his friends, and his friends became my friends. I would hang out with them without my fiance and vice versa. In hindsight, I don't think they were being malicious. They've always been nice and welcoming, excluding the one person. They just liked seeing us together and didn't want to see us apart. Almost a decade of seeing a couple, and I can understand they'd want to see us last. I don't have any negative feelings towards them. I'm not sure what it was that the friend said. Another person, are you going to bring up moving? And he says, few people asked after I brought up what he would have to do to get me back immediately. I said, move. No, I won't bring it up, I think. I do want to. I'd love to be closer to his family since I don't have any and I love being around them. They all live in Seattle and we're in Boston. I don't get to see them much. If I do bring it up, I might wait till this situation clears up completely. Another question, how can you throw 9 years out the window over a question? And his response, it's the one question I asked him not to bring up. I thought I made that clear in my post. I can overlook a lot of things, and I do, but that one thing I can't. I still can't. If he was serious about it, I don't think I'd stay. I'm not gonna let him walk outside, mess with a woman, and come back with cookies in my hand and a smile on my face. Did that feel good, baby? Here's a cookie and some milk. Be freaking for real. You may be walked on in your life. That is not me though. Okay, but you're saying but OP is saying if he actually let him do it. The person is saying just simply asking the question, period. Not like actually going through it, but just the question. But I see what he's saying. Someone else said, do role play in the bedroom. He might just want a feminine aspect. And OP responded, I will not upload a picture of myself. It defeats the purpose of making a trash account. However, I am 6'4". I weigh 230 pounds. I work in a garage. I've spent 15 hours a week in the gym for the last 7 years, and I have scars all over my body with a few on my face. My skin is not soft, and I look like if I meet you in a dark alley, I'll shank you. I'm not feminine. I think he'd laugh if he saw me walk out in lingerie and a wig. I would too, to be honest. I think this is a good example of what I meant in the last post, because the last video was about husbands that were like secretly gay, and the wives were like, my husband is a man's man. He drinks beer, he likes football, he's burly, he works in construction. I'm so surprised that he's gay. So I was like, anybody, literally anybody can be gay. It doesn't matter what you look like. And this guy is a good example. He's the typical, straight guy persona based off of his description of himself. He's gay. So that's it for now. I might update after a bit of therapy. Probably not. I don't know. I don't think many will care after they read I didn't chastise him. Thank you again for all the actually helpful advice. I didn't expect any of it, but I'm very grateful. Edit. Y'all judged the F out of me for not demanding he drop his lifelong best friend. I don't care. We talked last night. I brought up my issues, and he said he was leaning towards cutting him off entirely anyway. They're no longer friends. Y'all can stay in your toxic relationships, making demands and ultimatums. I will not be doing any of that though. I'm not a doormat. Y'all genuinely sound bitter. I'm not alone like you are. I don't know, argue with the wall. Okay, well that sounds like a great update. I'm happy for them. OPs, if you guys see this video, please invite me to the wedding. I would really love to come, and I'm not even joking. I will come to Seattle or Boston. I actually haven't been to either place. So, or even if it's like a destination, I just think that would be so I want to be friends with y'all. I want you to coach me on how to have a relationship like y'all have. Because it's goals, honestly. I'm glad y'all were able to work it out. Hopefully you continue to move forward. And we'll go to the last read of the video, which will be the palette cleanser. This is going to be from the r/random acts of kindness subreddit. Don't forget to subscribe while you're here. Just check. All it takes is a little look. Actually, it would be this way. And I will read this story. It's very short. My boss gives to the homeless. It never fails. My boss has made a bond with a local homeless guy. Every day, it never fails. The guy will come into the smoke shop and talk my boss's ears off in a good way. Every time the guy gets ready to leave the shop, my boss gives him cigars and a few dollars extra every time. The homeless guy is very respectful and very polite. Recently, he mentioned that he got a new bike, but that the front tire is busted. So my husband, who overheard what the homeless guy said, just bought him new tires, and we will be going to get the old tire aired up and plugged. Being kind really goes a long way. I love it. This was a good end to a vid. The last story didn't end tragically. I think they'll be okay. This story is good. I love it. Honestly, when I win the lottery, one of the things that I want to do is work on housing. This is going to be a tangent, so feel free to click off the video. The video is done at this point. But one of the things I want to really work on is housing, not just for unhoused people, but also for regular people. Not low income, but just regular people who may not qualify for low income, but also don't want to spend $3,000 a month on an apartment. How can we fix the housing situation? Because rent is going up. The cost of buying a house is going up. Everything is going up. And honestly, I see it as a very dangerous issue, because when people are desperate, when they have nowhere to live, when they can't pay their bills, they start committing crimes. That is just how it is. When people are desperate, they do things that they never thought they'd do. So I think one of our main things that we need to be focused on is housing, and then also feeding people. But when I win the lottery, I want to focus on housing. So unhoused people housing, and then programs to like get them back into society, but then also affordable housing for regular income people, not for, I mean, low income people can stay there as well, but like just for regular people who not trying to pay all that, you know? Anyways, one of these days, I'm gonna win the lottery, and I may not tell you guys, but there will be signs. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.